All right, hello and welcome. I'm so excited for today's session. We're going to be talking all about how to win with local service ads, commonly referred to as LSA, and kind of really unpacking some of the new strategies on how to really tap into local service ads in your market, how to generate more leads, more calls, keep your trucks running. And I'd love to know, just to kind of, as you're watching this, let me know, one, in comments if you're already running LSA at some level, two, if you're not. I know I asked this in the beginning before we started, but if you could, just in the comments, one, if you're running LSA, two, if not, Dave's not, Catherine is. Excellent. There's going to be a little bit of something for all of you. If you're not, I'm going to make the case for why you should be and why you should really get the ball rolling on this. If you are, really this session is optimized for you, because a lot of us turn on LSA, we kind of set it and forget it, but there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot of things you can do to give yourself a competitive edge in your market. So I'm going to be unpacking some of our latest insights now running LSA for several hundred of our clients across the country, and what we can do to keep you in the 3-pack more, keep your cost per lead manageable, convert as many of the leads as possible, and really generate better results. So just type yes in the comments if that sounds like good use of today's time, and we can go deep on this topic. All right, getting some yeses, so I appreciate that. So this is part of our accelerated growth model, right? If you really want to grow your plumbing, HVAC, electrical business, you want to accelerate the growth, there's 3 things you have to do. You've got to drive leads, you've got to maximize conversion, and you've got to optimize results, right? And if you get those 3 really humming, you can absolutely grow your business. You can triple your sales, as I like to say, over the next 12 to 24 months. And it really comes down to optimizing around these 3 key pillars. And, I unpacked this at the beginning of the year. It's called your internet marketing plan. And it talks about the key things you need to do to drive leads, right? We got to do organic, we got to do paid, we got to do database to maximize conversion. We've got to make sure the website's built to convert. We've got great online reviews. We're leveraging automation to follow up with our leads as quickly, efficiently, and effectively as possible. And then we've got to optimize the results, right? We got to know what our total spend is, our average cost per lead, our return on investment. We need to have a dial on those numbers. In a lot of cases, if the goal is to go from $1 million to $2 million or $3 million to $6 million, we really have to sometimes increase the spend, or we got to increase the spend logically. So that's the accelerated growth model. I could talk about it for hours, but today we're talking about paid search and a subsection within paid search, which is local service ads. Talk about what it is, how it works, and really how to generate better results with local service ads that you may already be running. So a little bit of housekeeping as we kind of kick things off. If you could, let's be in the moment. Turn off your cell phone, turn off Facebook if you've got it running somewhere in the background. Really, if you're serious about generating better results for your plumbing, HVAC, electrical business, let's just give this the focus, because I truly believe when you understand how LSA works, when you understand how to optimize the way that you're managing it, it can absolutely be a game changer in your business. So real quick, for those of you that don't know who I am and kind of what my background is, I'll talk about that in a minute. But here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what local service ads is. We're going to talk about where it's active. We're going to talk about how it works, especially for those of you that haven't really started running local service ads yet. How to jump on board. But more importantly, and really this is what the meat and potatoes of today's session is going to be around, is what it takes to rank in the top 3 results. Because what I've seen working with hundreds of the top plumbing, HVAC, electrical companies in the country, and really talking with thousands of home service companies through our business development process on an annual basis, is a lot of us have turned on local service ads, or we put a little bit of budget toward it, and there's not very many leads coming in because there's big competitors that are winning the day in the top 3. And there's very specific things you can do to optimize and make sure that you've got your time in the rotation so that you can get as many deals and as many leads as possible. So talk really about that. I'm going to move this forward so it's a little bit easier for you guys to read. And then, of course, we're really going to talk about how to take advantage and really how to maximize your outcomes with local service ads. So real quick, who I am and why you should listen. My name is Josh Nelson. I'm the founder and CEO of Plumbing and HVAC SEO. We're a digital marketing agency specializing in the plumbing, HVAC, home services trade. I'm an author of the book, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right. If you're on today's session, you don't already have a copy of this book, type book in the comments and Christian will send you a link where we'll mail this out to you completely free of charge. So you have it, because it's a great reference book on how to generate better results online. But I'd say more important than all of the other stuff there is, at this point, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of plumbing, HVAC, and home service companies in some of the most competitive markets in the country, and being able to help them dominate their local market, many of them seeing more than $1 million in revenue growth just by getting their internet marketing right. So what I'm sharing with you and what I'm going to share on today's session isn't hypothetical. It's not theory. It's real world in the trenches experience working with companies just like yours. And this is what we do day in and day out. We're on a mission to help 1,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical companies triple their sales by getting their internet marketing right. We've got a full team now, like kind of all over the country and international. This is what we do all day, right? We help our clients set up their websites, get them ranked, make sure that the websites are built to convert, put the marketing automation in place. And so, if you're interested in having us manage this for you or help you just look at your big picture, we'd love the opportunity to chat. If you would like to schedule a time, we'll do a complimentary analysis. You can go to plumberseo.net/schedule, and we'll actually look at what you have in place, show you where there's room for improvement, and walk you through how we can help. So let's talk about local service ads, the topic of the day. And so if you go to Google right now and you type in whatever your service is, we've got some plumbing companies, we've got some HVAC companies, we've got some electrical contractors on here. If you type in your city and plumber or whatever your service is, what's happening on the search engine results is local service ads comes up right at the top. Whether you're on mobile, whether you're on desktop, this is what comes up first. This is not new information, but in a nutshell, that's what local service ads is. And it's also oftentimes referred to as Google guaranteed, because Google's got a process where they're guaranteeing that you're going to come out, you're not going to screw the customer, and it gives a better experience for the searcher, it gives a better experience for the contractor in a lot of cases, but it also then requires a little bit of legwork to make sure that you've got your background submitted and that Google can feel confident that you're going to provide great service for the companies they send your way. The main mechanism of local service ads, the main mechanism that they're tracking against is phone calls. It started out at the beginning, people were able to go on local service ads and either submit a form or make a phone call. And they found that the tracking on that was kind of squirrely, and they moved it to it's just a phone call, right? When somebody looks on Google in your area and they click on the Google guaranteed or the local service ads, they're presented with a number. That's a tracking number that they're going to track against and charge you on a per lead basis. And that's kind of the way that it works today. So we'll see the guaranteed symbol right underneath the number of reviews that the organization has. And it comes up right at the top. If you drill into someone's listing, like in this case, Tom Drexler, you would see a listing that looks like this, and we've got a phone number that's tracked, right? That's the main mechanism that Google puts in place in order to track this, in order to charge you for it. So why does this matter? Like, why is this important that we're thinking about local service ads and that we're even spending time learning about how this works? Here's what we know. 87% of your customers go to Google when they need your services, right? More than 87%. It's like basically the number one channel by far that your customers look to when they're looking to hire your services, to solve that problem. It's the number one place that people look. It's also the first thing that comes up. So if we know 87% of your customers are either going to Google or they're going to one of these sites to try and find you, then we want to come up first, right? We want to be at the top. Yes, we want to be in local service ads. We want to be in paid search. We want to be in the organic listings. We want to be on the map. We want to be everywhere. But the fact is, if local service ads is what's coming up first, we want to prioritize that impression. We want to make sure we're coming up as often as possible in that rotation, because if that's the number one place people look and we're up at the very top, we have a much higher probability of getting the lead, getting the call, and ultimately getting the book job. And the other thing I'm finding is that there's no higher intent prospect than the customer that's actually looking at that moment in time. So if you think about all the marketing initiatives you can put in place, right? You can do direct mail, you can do Facebook ads, you can run YouTube ads, you can do all kinds of things to market your home service company. And I really think you want to have a diversified approach that markets and puts your name in front of customers. But there's, interruption-based marketing where, like, let's just use Facebook ads as an example. We're running ads and they're seeing an offer. Hey, if you're, you want to get $25 off your plumbing job, click here. Most of the people have no need in that moment. And so it's useful because they're seeing you and they might remember you the next time they need you. But directional advertising is where we're connecting with that customer right when they've got the problem, right? The AC is not working in the house. They're hot. They're frustrated. They're going to Google on their mobile phone. They're running a search, HVAC contractor in your city. And that customer is going to be the highest intent that you can get. And this is what comes up first. So that's really why local service ads is so important. And so it's really important that you have this plan, not just to be in the rotation, but to really optimize your outcomes and optimize your results with local service ads. At this point, it's active everywhere. Like they rolled this out over the last 5 years, basically from a new thing to everywhere in the United States and a lot of places internationally, local service ads is absolutely running. And what we've seen, it has impacted the search results, right? If you think about, years ago, there was no local service ads. And so it used to just be organic results for a long time. And then Google added the paid search results to the listing and moved the organic results down. And then they added the Google Maps, and it was like a lot of things moving. But the reality is, this is how it impacts your results. First thing you see is local service ads today. Then you've got some Google ads results that come up. Then you've got the actual map itself, and then you've got the organic listings. And so, it does beg the question, like, as this becomes more and more prominent, do we even need to focus on organic? Like, do we even need to really play that game? I'm going to tell you that you do. If you go back and watch last month's webinar, you want to have the organic opportunities as well. You definitely want to be playing on the Google map, but you can't sleep on paid search, and you absolutely can't sleep on local service ads. So how it works, first of all, if you're not in, I'm going to just briefly talk about this for those of you that aren't. You have to complete the application process. So Google asks you for some background checks. They say you need to have a background check on everyone that would go into the home. And so if you've got a large operation with 50 or 100 techs, that can be quite cumbersome. I know a lot of organizations just background check the owner and they're able to get that through. I'm not suggesting you do it, but I'm saying it's going to be a lot easier to background check yourself than to try and background check your entire organization. They're going to background check your employees. They want a license check, background check. It has changed. It's been Pinkerton Consulting. There's some different companies involved in this process now. By the book, again, all of your technicians as well as yourself have to be background checked. If you've got a criminal record on any of the people that are going into the home, you're gonna want to play carefully with that. As long as you don't send maybe somebody with a criminal record to your LSA leads, you can get away with that. Obviously, it's going to red flag your company. They're not going to put you in Google guaranteed if you've got a lot of people that you submitted that wind up having criminal backgrounds and things like that. So just be aware, hopefully you're doing this with your technicians when they come in and you're already aware where there may be some potential concerns. Once you're approved, and I know this is kind of where most of us hit today, once you're approved, you're going to pay on a per lead basis. And I'm going to show you some of the screenshots and how it works, because you can set a per fixed lead, or you can kind of play the auction game a little bit. And that's kind of where some of the bigger organizations might have a competitive advantage. If you look at the $15, $20 million guy in your market, he may be willing to spend $75 per lead, where the average automated cost per lead bid is like $22. So just be aware, there's a little bit of an auction play on this as well. But what we see is the average is somewhere between $25 and $45 per lead. This is a shifting target, it's totally shifting, because in bigger markets, I expect Google's going to change that potentially. I believe they're going to get more aggressive with rolling out the auction process and letting the bigger companies buy, basically buy all the leads because they're able to pay more. And I think eventually, if they're looking to Uberize the home service trades, I'm sure they'd love to get a percentage of those booked jobs. It's not there yet, but hopefully it doesn't go there. But that's kind of what they're thinking and kind of where it might go. And we do see the prices can vary by industry, because I think somebody said they're a painting company, but it's a little bit more for a electrical service contractor than it is for a plumbing company, right? So it really varies. Top Notch says in my area it's $60 plus. So yeah, I mean it's gonna get more and more competitive, and these costs per leads are gonna rise over time. But ultimately, when you get in, right, and I'll talk a little bit of how to optimize the listing and how to manage the listing. Leon says it's even higher in roofing. I have no doubt. You've got these choices. How do you want to bid? You can let Google set the right bid, and that's what they recommend, or you can manually set a max bid. We are playing with this in a lot of different ways. I love the automation aspect of letting Google kind of set the right bid. But if you're really thinking, I've got a big budget set on local service ads, and I've seen people set $100,000 budget, never intending to spend it, but just saying, I want to set aside to get every single lead that I can. And they still aren't getting lots of leads from the system. If that's happening in your market, what's probably happened is the bigger companies have gone in and they said, I'm going to manually set my bid. And if everyone else is paying 50, I'm going to pay 75, right? And obviously Google is going to prioritize the people willing to pay more, as long as they've got the background, they've got the good reviews, and they're kind of having a high conversion rate on the leads they generate. So this is important to understand. This is something that's changed even in the last 12 months or so, that if you're not getting any leads, you might want to go toggle this and be a little bit more aggressive with how you're bidding. Give me a 1 in the comments if that makes sense, if you're kind of tracking along, if that's helpful to know that that new function can really impact whether you're going to get the leads that you need or leads that you want or not. Excellent. So the way you're charged is you're going to set a weekly budget that limits the total numbers of leads that you get. So if you say, my weekly budget is $500 and your average cost per lead is 25, it's going to quickly chip away. And once your budget is spent, you'll come out of the rotation. So you can set that weekly limit. Just be aware that's going to limit the number of leads that you get. So as the example here, 2,000 leads per month, that comes out to $500 per week. That will be $71 per day. So if you're at $35 per lead, you're going to cap yourself at 57 leads, 14 leads per week, 2 leads per day. Once the budget's spent, you go offline. And there's a little bit of flex with that, but just be cognizant of that's how it works. And if your average cost per lead on local service ads is less, let's say, than your average cost per lead through Google ads, which is like pay-per-clicking, to text ads and things, you might want to say, look, let's just increase that budget and let's go in and set a higher manual bid so that we can get more of those local service ad leads. Because what we're seeing is the lead quality isn't drastically worse from local service ads than it is from organic or from even Google ads. So that's how it works. You get your weekly budget at the end of the week. It's going to take you off, and then the next week it'll bump you back onto there. You may get a different number of leads day to day, but you're never going to spend more than your weekly budget that's designated. And you have the ability to immediately dispute leads. So, I'll show you a screen here in a minute, but Google only wants to charge you if they're legitimate leads in your service area for the things that you said you did inside your profile. And so it's important that you dispute the leads quickly, because if you paid for 3 leads that weren't really quality leads and you don't dispute them relatively quickly, that's already taking you out of the rotation for the day. So you want somebody that's really on top of this, that's recognizing, here's our budget, here's how many leads we're generating, and really taking care of the ones that aren't quality, so you don't wind up burning up your uptime and your opportunity. So what leads don't count in local service ads? Solicitations, somebody trying to sell you something, spam, like a pre-recorded message. And this is really important, is the service not offered. And so when you optimize your Google local service profile, you're able to tell Google, this is my service area, these are the services I want to bid on, and you really want to pay attention to that to expand your offering. But you also can use that to say, hey, that was outside the service area, I'm not going to pay for that. And that's an important thing to be monitoring and to be paying for. But this is one of the great benefits of local service ads, is that you're not paying per click that could just, wind up clicking away and absolutely ending in nothing. You're only paying per lead that is a qualified lead, that you defined as a qualified lead in your service area, which I think is a pretty great thing. Feedback from our active clients. And again, now we've got hundreds of plumbing, HVAC, electrical clients that are using this, and we're helping to optimize their results for it. What we're hearing is lower cost per lead than PPC, right? In most markets, you still want to be in the Google Ads rotation. You still want to be playing that game. But as you do the math, right, if you're paying $16 per click to $25 per click and you're converting at 30%, your average cost per lead on local service ads, especially if you've got the fixed rate, is usually less than the PPC. The quality of the leads are much better than what you might get from Home Advisor or eLocal Plumber or some of these other services out there. Not quite as good as an organic lead. Still your best lead is somebody that clicks on your website, browses around, and physically chooses your organization because they liked what you were about, they liked your messaging. Remember, on local service ads, they're not probably even doing that much due diligence, right? They're clicking the first listing, they're calling your office, they've got a problem, they want it solved. They didn't necessarily choose you. And so while the quality is better than Home Advisor, it's not as good as the customer that physically decided they want to do business with you. So you're going to still have some price shoppers. You're going to have those people that, how much are you charging for this? Okay, I'm going to hang up, right? So that's just kind of par for the course. But pretty much for all of our clients that track this, that have good processes in place to answer the phones, to dispatch, to make sure that they're selling well in the home and they've got a good conversion rate, there's almost always a really nice return on investment from local service ads. I can't even think of an example of a client that doesn't have a tangible, measurable ROI of this from this on a pretty consistent basis. So in my mind, I believe this is a no-brainer. If you run a plumbing, HVAC, electrical company, really you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by really getting into this and optimizing it. Again, number one, you're going to be at the top of the results. That's where your customers are looking. We want to make sure we're at the top. You only pay on a per lead basis for actually qualified leads. You're still going to wind up with a lower cost per lead than pay-per-click. The quality of the leads are higher than Home Advisor. And you have the ability to modify your budget based on your schedule. So if your technicians are fully booked solid for the next 2 weeks, and it's like, you know what, I can't even take any more calls, I can't even deal with this right now, you can always go in and turn that budget down. Play with caution, just like with your Google ads. You don't want to be turning on, turning off, turning on, turning off. But you have that option. Because why pay per lead if you can't even get a technician into the home, right? If you're not going to be able to convert because you can't send somebody out there for 2 weeks. So I really think it's a no-brainer. Hopefully I've made a good case for why you want to be participating in this. I'm going to really quickly talk about how to get set up, and then we're going to get into how to optimize and really how to maximize your results. Give me one if you're tracking along with me still. I know I'm trying to get through this part of it quick so we can get to the meat and potatoes. Okay, cool. Lots of ones coming in. Appreciate that, guys. If you're a client, and I know we get a lot of clients potentially on today. If you're a client, we absolutely will help you set this up. This is part of what we do as part of our paid search strategy. So we'll help you with the background checks and all of that stuff. If you're not a client and you're trying to figure this out on your own, you can go to adwords.google.com/local-services-sign up, and it will take you through an online form that you fill in, and then it will kind of trigger the process to do the background checks and everything in between. This is what it looks like. I don't know, Christian, if you can grab this link and drop it in case anybody needs access to it. But it takes this, it's 3-step form, right? Sign up, create your profile, and then really the part that is slow is the background checks and waiting for all the background checks that need to be done. So let's talk about rankings. I know that this is probably the reason a lot of you guys came, because you're like, okay, I get it. I'm already on local service ads. I know the benefits of service ads, but how does it actually work? How can I make sure that I'm playing more in the rotation? Well, the way the ranking works is your proximity to the customer's location comes into play. And so if you're in, Kendall, if I use Miami as an example, if you're in Kendall and the person's searching in Pembroke Pines, that's going to have an impact. And so making sure that you've got a location that's as central as possible to where your customers live, it helps, right? So if you've got a commercial location that's way off the beaten track, that may potentially harm your effectiveness with Google local service ads. Your review score and the number of reviews you receive through the platform is immense, right? All other things being equal. Yep, you can put your name in, you can pay on a per lead basis, you can pay a little bit more per lead and even give yourself preferential. But all other things being equal, if everyone's trying to play this game and they're all putting money in, the ones that have reviews, and not just reviews like on Google Maps and other places, but reviews right inside local service ads, and I'll kind of show you how that works, are getting preferential weighting in the algorithm. So be careful not to just be requesting reviews through like whatever you use, PulseM or Review Buzz or Nearby Now, specifically for leads that come through local service ads and that call the local service ads number. In the dashboard, there's a place to request a review from that customer. That's what you want to use because those reviews carry a lot of weight. Number three, and this is where I find most plumbing, HVAC, home service companies don't realize, is that your responsiveness to customer requests and inquiries play a major factor. So inside the dashboard, I'm going to show you all this stuff in a minute. There's a place where you can say, dispatch job, cancel job, or disputed the lead. If you don't have somebody that's looking at all of the leads that come in and like rating the outcomes, eventually Google looks at you as a non-responsive provider. And even if you're like got a huge budget, even if you've got tons of reviews, if you're not actively responding to the inquiries and like closing the loop in the system, that's going to negatively impact your ability to remain constantly in the 3-pack rotation. I'm going to show you that one in a minute, but this, in my mind, is one of the top things you need to be aware of and that you need to have somebody paying attention to inside your organization. The other thing obviously on this is your business hours. Most of us, say we can answer the phone 24/7, but really we only have somebody that can get out to the home between, whatever, like 7 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you want to be conscious that if you turn local service off and you say your hours only between 7 and 4, then all of the people that are searching after those hours, like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, which most, a large percentage of your customers do, you won't be in the rotation. And so you want to make sure that you think about when those hours are on and off. We find we can get lots of leads through local service ads in the off hours, right? As long as you can have somebody that can answer the phone live, have a professional conversation, you can book your next day just by being a little strategic with the office hours that you have listed. The other thing that's going to impact your ranking is whether or not you've received serious and repeated complaints about your business. I think it would be obvious that if people are claiming the guarantee and saying that you screwed them, or if they're going in and giving you a 1-star review through the platform, eventually that's going to chip away at your credibility in the system. It's going to reduce your ability to remain in the 3-pack. And then, the other factor that's really going to drive it is your budget and how well you understand what the competition is doing. Are they just doing, automated bidding, or are they doing manual bidding? Are they getting super aggressive with their average cost per lead and saying, I just want to buy all the leads? It's different in different markets, right? And so you want to be paying attention to what's going on in your local marketplace for your services, because you can start to play the game of chess. And there is absolutely a game of chess going on in the background with your big competitors, with your small competitors. And you want to be the one that understands how this works better. You want to be the one thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead so that you can maximize your rotation in the 3-pack. You can optimize the number of leads that you get without overpaying, right? Because we don't want you to go just, I'm going to try and throw $100 per lead price on this, and then you get leads that don't actually monetize to an effective ROI. So that's kind of high level how that works. Now let's get into how to win with local service ads. Type win in the comments if you're still tracking with me. Excited to kind of unpack a little bit about some of the specifics here on what you can do to truly win with local service ads. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the engagement. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you screenshots. We're going to talk specifics. Number one is we want to dial in the service area, the profile, and the budget. Like there's very specific things. It's a pretty simple dashboard that you get into on local service ads, but there's nuance to how you set this up to really put your best foot forward. Second, we have to mark the jobs as booked, right? This is super important that every call that comes in is being rated and then it's being marked on the outcome. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that and really how to optimize around that. Deal with disputes. That's obvious. We got to drive verified reviews from the real customers through the platform. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And then we want to target a booking rate of 85% plus. So there's actually an ability to see in the dashboard how many leads you got, how many of you marked as booked, and you can see what your average booking rate is. I really believe that if you can get that average booking rate higher than the competition, and you're also playing the bid game correctly, you're going to be the preferential company in the rotation. So this is something we focus on. This is something we optimize for, is shooting for an 85% plus booking rate in the dashboard. And I'm going to show you kind of how you see this and how it works, but I just wanted to hit the big picture first. So number one is we want to dial in the profile. And again, if you go into the mobile app, or if you go into local service ads, you get to a screen that looks a little bit like this. There's some very specific things you want to pay attention to. Number one is you've got to set your budget. And again, this is going to break down to a weekly average that you have available to buy the leads. I like to say, open it up, right? Even if you're a small contractor, and again, assuming you've been doing this for a little bit of time, like don't just throw in 50 grand as your budget if you've never done it. But if you've been doing this for a little bit, I would say probably even double or triple your current budget, because sometimes you have to have a bigger budget in order to be in the rotation. I've never seen like a large budget just obliterated through the system, right? Google's going to rotate it with other contractors. It's going to get averaged over a weekly. But if we know that this is our lowest cost per lead and it's our highest probability close lead because they're directional at the moment, we want to optimize and spend as much as we can here. So we just want to open up the budget. I'm going to encourage you to be a little bit more aggressive probably than you are right now, because as long as you've got technicians that are available to go out in the field, you're going to get a good ROI from these leads. Number two is we want to make sure that we update the ad schedule. Really think about that. Again, when is your customer typically looking, right? And I know we get calls all throughout the day. We track this very closely for our clients, hundreds of clients. We get calls all throughout the day, but there's a little bit of a concentration before 8 a.m. and after 5:30 p.m. because the homeowner gets home, or they're just about to start their day. The thing is broken, and that's when they have time to make that call, to do that research, to generate that opportunity. And so I think a big mistake most of us make is we're gonna set the schedule from 9 o'clock until 4 p.m. and you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. So we want to update that ad schedule. If you want to set up the business bio, right, and you don't want to just type in there, I'm top-notch plumbing, right? Like, use this opportunity to take some of the text from your website to really optimize it. I don't think that there's an algorithmic search function there, but the reality is when your customer gets, or that prospect gets to your profile, we want to have our best foot forward. We want strong messaging about who we are and what we do, and why we're unique in the marketplace and why they should choose us against the competition. Don't just phone this in. Spend a little bit of time. Make sure that bio makes sense. Select your job types. There's not an infinite number of job types, but really make sure that the things you do, or the things that maybe are the things that lead into the higher transaction value things that you want more of, are being selected. So be strategic with the job type selections. Set up the service area. So that's where you're telling Google, here's the area that I want to take opportunities from. And I often find there's a balance, right? If you go too wide, you're going to be too far away from where the customers are searching, but you also don't want to be too narrow, right? So just try and spend some time. You can tell Google exactly what that service area is. Update the business hours we talked about with the budget, and then add photos. I think this is one of the really basic things that, as I look at other local service ads accounts that are set up, they've got like a logo, and then they've got maybe one or two stock images, this is your opportunity to stand out in local service ads. They let you upload photos. And so this is where I really believe you want to use personality-based photos. Picture of the owner, picture of the team, picture of the trucks. Like, people want to do business with real people. Just like we recommend on your websites, personality and authenticity sells. And so make sure you've maxed out that photo bucket. Like, upload really, really high quality, relevant photos to who you are and what you do so that you can stand out. So that's what we're going to do on dialing in the profile. Again, that's right within the local service ads dashboard. Next thing we want to do is we got to mark the jobs as booked, right? And I said before, I really think this is one of the key drivers that's going to separate you from the competition, is recognizing that when a lead comes in, you can click in and there's this little button here that you can say mark as booked. A lot of contractors are getting a lot of leads through local service ads, and nobody themselves or anybody on their team has ever logged into the platform. Like, they might look at it once a month and just say, hey, like, what's going on? You want to make sure that you're marking your job booked on a daily basis. You're closing these loops so that Google sees you're a contractor, you're actually answering those phones, and the people that they're sending your way are being served, right? Because if they're booking with you, they're being served. That's a win for Google, it's a win for the client, and it's a win for you as the contractor. And so Google wants this data, right? And since most contractors aren't doing it, this is a big opportunity for you to tap into that and just give them the data that they need and that they want. Again, Google's going to rate your responsiveness by how well you complete your jobs. We want to mark them as booked or scheduled, right? You've got that option within the system. You want to add the customer's details, so they give you the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about that customer and details about the job. You want to include the email address. This is where you're going to be able to push out the review request. And then you want to archive, keep it clean inside the system. Like, there's going to be an aggregate of leads, booked leads, non-responded leads. You want to make sure that you archive the non-converted opportunities, just close them out, move them out of the system. These are simple things, but they go a long ways in terms of the results that you're going to do. Obviously, we want to deal with disputes. And so this is the leads that come in that are outside the area, that weren't qualified, that solicitation. We want to dispute them ASAP for a couple reasons. First of all, if you can dispute it, that's going to reduce your spend and give you more money to remain in the rotation for the week. The other thing is it's going to impact your booking ratio, right? If 3 out of your 10 leads were not legit and you didn't dispute them, your booking ratio is going to look 30% worse. So there's a lot of reasons you want to, outside of just saving the money, you want to deal with your disputes and you want to deal with them quickly to keep this nice and tight. Again, you don't get charged for disqualified leads outside the area. Service is not provided. Number 4 is we want to drive verified reviews. And I think a lot of people have a misconception in their mind about this particular aspect. Let me know in the comments here, like a 1, if you use some type of review automation platform, whether it's PulseM, ReviewBuzz, Nearby Now, Birdeye. There's so many tools. Give me a 1 if you use one of these tools. And I'm a big fan of these tools. Like, you want to make sure a review request is going out after every service call. You say, hey, thanks so much for your business. Click here to write us a review. I'm not seeing any engagement. So, like, are you telling me, like, give me a 2 if you don't use any review automation? Be surprised if that's the case. Okay, some of us don't. You should, right? A couple of you saying, yeah, like, you want more reviews. It drives conversion. It drives your rankings and the Google map. But what I find is most contractors have their review automation dialed in to the place where they think, hey, Podium says, Rob, yeah, they think like, okay, that's already taken care of. I'm doing review requests. Most of those review request platforms are going to drive reviews to Google or to Yelp or to Angie, which is good. You want that. But the reviews that are verified are different, right? This means somebody came through the platform, they dialed in, they showed up on your queue here, and you can click ask for review. Those reviews are listed as verified reviews on local service ads. And so you want to make sure that you're using that as the mechanism for the leads that come from local service ads, because more verified reviews is going to drive better rankings. It's going to drive better outcomes. Catherine says, so it's better to use the review link for LSA than GMB. Yeah, in this particular case, because we want to feed Google the data that we booked the job and we want verified reviews, the way to do that is through this process right here within the platform. And I can kind of show you guys a little bit further on how to do that. But again, number of reviews is a driver of your rankings in the LSAs, right? If you're got an open budget, you've got the right service area, you've got the right time schedule, maybe you're even manual bidding a little bit more than the rest of the competition, all other things being equal, the organizations that have high booking conversion rate and that have lots of verified reviews are going to be the contractors that win the day in the long term. Obviously, you're going to provide great service as always. Leverage the dashboard to drive your verified reviews by entering the name and the email address and hit that review request button. Again, that is it's a little thing, but it's a big part of it. So when you log into the platform, you see a dashboard like this. You see how many received and how many requested the reviews for. You're going to get that list of customers as you kind of go through it. That's where you want somebody on your team on a daily basis marking the outcome and requesting the review. And then it just pops up a little bubble like this. When you need to ask them like what their email address is, what the name of the customer is, what the job was, what the location was. Send. I can't validate this, but I believe just the act of following this process gives Google more data as well, which is going to tell them that you're actively really working the process. You're trying to deliver good results for the leads that they're sending your way, and it's going to act in your favor. And of course, customers will then write those reviews, and as you get more verified reviews, it's going to drive better and better results. So again, Google verified job, Google verified job. That's what you want. You want like lots of those types of reviews and not just the normal reviews that you would get from somebody going to your Google map listing and posting a review. Okay, so on to number 5. Fifth and really important is your booking rate. So as you book the jobs, if you come into the dashboard, and this is on the home screen, you see the leads that you've been charged for, you see your budgeted spend, and over here, as you're closing your jobs out, you'll see number of number of appointments booked and your average booking rate. You want to look at that. I would say if you're looking for KPIs, key performance indicators, this would be one of the KPIs you want to keep an eye on. And what's interesting is probably a high percentage of home service contractors don't even look at this. And so if you look at their booking thing, it shows 0 because they're not showing that the jobs were booked. And they're not like closing the loop, and they're not asking for verified reviews. So like right within the dashboard, I'll see if I have another screenshot here. This is just right on the overview screen. You see it right there within the reporting. It's a little dashboard underneath that shows the outcome. So you want to understand the reporting. You want to, how effectively you convert calls into service clients will impact your rankings over time. We're shooting for an 85% plus conversion rates. Leon's saying it could be why we haven't been getting many leads. It might be part of the equation, right? Maybe you're not spending enough. Maybe you're not converting and marking your jobs as complete. Maybe your booking rate is 0%, right? And that's obviously a bad thing over time. And what you measure improves. So if you're measuring this on a consistent basis and you're watching this on an ongoing basis, it's going to improve, right? And so measure it, manage it. You're going to get more leads. You're going to get more sales. You're going to get better outcomes. Christian says on the report tab, you'll be able to toggle to a date range and then look at the date range. So yeah, so once you click reports, this is where you would set your date range. That'll show you exactly what's happening in the number of booked jobs and what that booking conversion ratio is. Is this helpful? Give me one in the comments if it's helpful. Like, hopefully, if I've covered at least 1 or 2 things that you can kind of sink your teeth into and say, I see some additional ideas we can leverage. Topknot says very. John says 1. Rob says, yep. Okay, great. So now that we've optimized the profile and we're doing the things Google wants us to do, the next thing is like, how do we increase the lead flow? Maybe you're done all of that. Maybe you're like right on top of the ball and you're saying, I want more leads, right? And I want to expand this whole process. Couple things you can do. again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we want to open up the budget. Whatever you've got, spend more, right? There's always more that could be spent within reason. Increase the budget. Number two is to expand the service area. Like if you're capped out, there's going to be, certain, things you can't get past, but you can absolutely expand the service area and maybe show up in cities and towns that you're not showing up for right now. Expand the job types, really look closely. Maybe at first you just chose plumbing and drains if you're a plumbing company, but there's other job types that you can bid on. And so expand that to make sure you're hitting all of the things that are relevant and useful for you. Number three is really pay attention to the ad schedule. Again, if your ad schedule is limited to 7 to 4, there's a lot of opportunity just by expanding the ad schedule, as long as you have somebody that can answer the phones. Close out every lead, right? I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is really important. This is going to help you increase the lead flow. Request reviews on every single job. And those are really the key things that are going to drive your results, that are going to drive your outcomes. There's more to it than meets the eye, right? You look at it inside Google Local Service Ads, and the dashboard looks like there's four little screens that you can play with, and there's only this much room. But the reality is, if you understand the nuance and you start to really manage this on a consistent basis, there are things you can do to put a better foot forward, to generate better results, and to really expand the lead volume that you get. Hopefully this was helpful. For a lot of you guys, maybe today was just, I want to learn, I want to kind of get ideas on how this works. Hopefully some great takeaways. Some of you might be saying, I'd like some help. It sounds like Josh and his team have a good process for this. I'd like some help. If that's you, I'd love the opportunity to talk. We have a full service digital marketing program, right? That we will manage your website, your SEO, your pay-per-click, and everything. But obviously there's a large cost to that, right? And there's a great return on investment. And if you're interested in having us take over your entire strategy, we'd love to have that conversation, because that's what we're all about. But we also recognize that some of you just want help with local service ads. Like you just want someone that can manage this process for you. And so we do have a done for you local service ads management service that you can sign up for by going to plumberseo.net/LSA. It looks like Christian already dropped it into the chat. I've got a QR code here in case anybody feels fancy, but it'd probably be hard to get to on my screen. But the bottom line is, for this service, what we'll do is everything I talked about here, we'll manage for you. So the setup part is easy. Like there's just some follow through to be done. But where most contractors don't have somebody that can diligently rate the calls, be on there every day, marking the outcomes of the jobs, be on there every day, pushing the review request process, and then be strategically thinking about, how do we optimize this budget? How do we increase the outcomes? And so we try to price this very, very cost effectively. It starts at $549 per month for up to 75 leads through local service ads. There's a setup fee, but for those of you that are interested in taking us up on this now, we will waive the setup fee. So you just be $549 monthly. As the volume increases, the price increases. And I think it's just important to note that, because the time that needs to go into listening to the call and to marking the outcome and to doing that follow through obviously increases as the amount of work needs to be done. And so for those of you that are interested, again, it's plumberseo.net/LSA. We'd love to talk with you about that if that's something you're interested in. Also, if kind of as you're thinking about this, you think, you know what, I'd like to have Josh and his team evaluate what we've got. Look at our website, our SEO strategy, our paid search strategy. We do that complimentary, and it's not just like a sales call. Literally, our team will review your website, we'll run a ranking report, we'll look at the entire accelerated growth model and be able to tell you, hey, look, here's where you're not ranking, here's why your website's not converting, here's what we could do differently with how you're running your paid search. And if there's opportunity to help you get to the target, we could talk about how we can work together, right? But if not, you're going to get great value from that meeting. And so if you'd like to take us up on that, you can go to plumberseo.net/schedule. Again, it's a complimentary meeting. We'll do a complete review of your online marketing, and we'll talk with you about how we can help. Top Notch says, we already had a client in that market. that market may actually be available. And so if you're open to having the conversation, we'd love the opportunity to chat. You're right, there was a little change in that particular organization. So this is one piece of the accelerated growth model, right? We think about it, we're going to drive leads, we're going to maximize conversion, we're going to optimize results. Today, we went deep on one portion of paid search, which is local service ads. If you really want to accelerate your growth, and really our model is built to help you triple your sales, regardless of if you're $1 million or $10 million per year, by dialing in these metrics. Love to have that conversation with you about how we can help you take things to the next level. Again, plumberseo.net/schedule, or you can call us 866-610-4647. It's been amazing chatting with you guys today. Thank you so much for hearing me out, letting me share some of our new insights on how local service ads works. Again, if you'd like some help with local service ads specifically, you can go to plumberseo.net/LSA. That's it for now. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Have an amazing afternoon, and we'll see you on a future version of this. And I look forward to talking with some of you guys real soon. Thanks, everybody.